6:30. Recording in progress. It is 6:30 on Tuesday, July 11th. I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Woodstock Village Board of Trustees. The first item on our agenda tonight is the Conservation Commission interview of Judith Dossett. Is that you, Judith? Come on up.
Yes. Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks.
I'm glad you're able to get out of your house, and such. It's very good. Okay. So Judith, you're applying to be part of the Conservation Commission. We have your application. Can you just tell us quickly about sort of like who you are and why you're interested in the conservation?
I've lived in Woodstock for 12 years. Woodstock was a different town 12 years ago, pre-COVID. My interest in conservation started in where I grew up in Tennessee, hiking on the trail with my dad. I now hike on the Appalachian Trail in Vermont with my dog. And I have a strong interest in keeping Vermont Vermonty is all the best way I can say it. I don't want to, I walked down here today and passed 3 empty storefronts, and I understand that we need to grow. I would just like to see that growth in town, and preferably with local owners. I'm sure everybody like that. And I know Gary fought hard at that. I'm not against growth. I just want to see the Vermont that I've come to love preserved. And that's really pretty much it.
Okay, great. Trustees, do you have questions?
Judith, have you attended any conservation committee meetings?
I have.
And when you say town, you meant businesses in the village.
Right. Like yours. And hers. I'm a patron of both.
Yes. I don't have any other questions. I think it's lovely.
I believe the select board approved you at the last meeting, June, correct?
Yes. And with the boards, of course, there is, I'm sure you saw in the application, you're required to attend about 8% of the regular scheduled meetings. You have the time to do such.
The only one I would be likely to miss is next month,
Okay,
when I will be out of town on that Tuesday.
okay, gotcha.
Where do you hike on the Appalachian Trail? What's your hike?
Oh, gosh, there are so many places. Prior to the weather,
Yeah.
recently, I hike off the Stage Road, off of Barnard Road, off of Alberton Road,
Sure.
up into West Hartford,
Very good.
all the way to Norwich. And
Yeah, Norris back. Yeah, good. Good. You and I have that in common. It's nice to know.
oh, that's nice to
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, well, we'll talk later.
Yeah.
Any other questions? No. Okay, are there any questions from the public? Gabe, you're good?
I'm good.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay, well, we can either, do you want to vote on it now or would you?
I'd rather vote on it now. I'd rather make a motion to accept Judith Dossett as a member of the Conservation Commission.
Okay, is there a second? Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Welcome, Judith.
Very much.
Thank you.
Coming out.
Good. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, next item on the agenda is citizen comments. Are there any citizen comments at this time? Okay. Hearing none, we've got, next is additions to and deletions from the posted agenda. I just have 2 small ones. One is, at least prior to 2 days ago, Eric had vacation scheduled for next week. According to his contract, he's supposed to take that after 6 months. We're just on the edge of that, so we need to vote to approve that. He may or may not still be going on vacation. We'll see.
Probably not.
He's a little busy right now, but we're gonna need to vote on that, so we can do that during new business. And then also under new business, Jill Davis is here. She is representative of the hub, and she's just going to talk a little bit about what the hub does in regards to what's happening right now. Because the hub provides emergency funding to people who have been affected by this flood, by this crisis. So I'm going to give her some time under new business to sort of quickly tell us about that, and then just sort of keep us all informed and let us know how that we can be helpful. So we'll add that. Put her under the first one. Okay, so next item on the agenda is the manager's report. Eric, what's going on? Anything going on in your neck of the woods?
It's a very different report than I had planned a few days ago. So as everyone knows, we're dealing with the fallout of the storm. Route 4 is still kind of closed all the way to Killington. We're hoping to have it open soon. The police, DPW, fire, emergency services, EMTs have been working very hard over the last 36, 48 hours to open as many roads as possible, help citizens and keep everyone safe. So that's been ongoing and still going on, you know, as we speak. The hope is the rain on Thursday and Friday, bless you, is not terrible, that it moves through quickly and will cause no further issues. But we're treating it as if it will, just so we're all prepared for it. With that said, the other things we're looking at is we're still currently without water flowing through the town. We're in close contact with the aqueduct, working with them to kind of come up with a solution. We're hopeful to have a positive update soon. But until that point, we want to be as cautious as possible with any announcements. So if you are getting water, please continue to boil it, just to be on the safe side. Even if you're well water, you know, try and be as safe as possible. The ESB building is still set up. Everyone needs and any shelter. That's your first stop. We have some water there. We have some water here at Town Hall. The longer without water, the more water we'll bring into the town. So we're going to keep sure we have that. If anyone needs any assistance, please reach out to my office or the dispatch 911, and we'll get to you as soon as possible. With that said, we're asking residents and businesses to kind of prioritize your needs. You know, everyone's working very hard. So, you know, please think of the difference between a tree in your backyard that's on the ground and a tree that's on a wire, or a tree that's blocking a road, just so we can make sure we're sending our people out to the ones that have the most impact as soon as possible. We've been able to move some residents who has flooding issues, who are isolated, to some hotels in the community that I generously offered to host them for free to get them somewhere safe. So I want to thank them. I don't want to, for the resident privacy, I don't want to give away what places they are, but I want to thank them, and we'll thank them publicly later. That's the big thing I have. Police Chief Lish, do you have any other more updates on road closures or anything else?
Report now.
Update, yeah.
Where's that? Oh, great.
The Aqueduct contacted us, so water's coming online. They're asking, it's a boil water order for now. And then you might have mentioned it, sorry, came late. For the next 3 days, boil your water, because they have to test it.
Chief, are you giving us an update on the water coming online?
Yeah, we just put it out on Vermont Alert to
I saw emails again.
residents to boil their water.
No, but I mean, for those of us who haven't had any water in the building,
Yeah, and so it's,
now flowing?
I don't know, we have some water at the ESP, but it's kind of a trickle. So as they pressurize the systems, you know, you'll get a better flow. But one thing to remind folks is to just make sure everything is shut off. No outside watering at this point, because we need to conserve water. And the aqueduct is trying to pressurize the system. So the less use on it, the better, the faster the pressure will come up. But that's the status report that we got from them.
Excuse me, Chief, can we clarify? You said 72 hours. We just got a notice a couple of minutes ago. It said 48 hours.
Oh, 48. Oh, okay. Then if that's the notice you got that was put out, that's what the aqueduct dispatched to put out. So that's probably more accurate.
Okay, thank you.
Hours until
to boil the water until, they have to do it.
Finish the testing right now. How long do you boil it? 5 minutes, 2 minutes?
3 minutes. They said 3 minutes.
Google it, because I don't know.
So I just want to make something clear. We're not saying that water is flowing through every residence right now. What we're saying is the aqueduct is working on it. There's still a lot that has to happen for it to be 100% up to what it was before. As the chief mentioned, they're testing out levels, so some residents will see water flow in their homes now. Some may not see them until tomorrow, some may not see them until later. So it's an ongoing work that it's not going to be a turn on in 5 minutes and everyone has water. They have to go very slow because they can't disturb the pressure in the pipes. So some will have it now, so that's why the alert got sent out. So if you are receiving water now, great, keep boiling it. If you haven't received water now, hopefully you'll receive it soon. And if you do, keep boiling it. If you haven't received it soon, it's because there's other issues that we're working through. But the main idea is keep boiling the water until we tell you no, not to.
And so Route 4, you can get to Bridgewater? And is Bridgewater accessible right now? You get through Bridgewater?
Yeah, get the brick water. On Route 4, you get.
Okay, you can go all the way
Can
through.
you get all the way through to Rutland?
This, AOT said Route 4 is open.
Okay.
So I'm assuming that it's open all the way through. But I don't know for sure. I know it's open throughout Woodstock.
How many roads remain closed in Woodstock?
Robert, do you want to come up? Whatever.
I don't know the answer. Maybe Eric does, because for the side local roads, like the back roads.
Yeah.
We weren't really keeping track of, highway was working on those. So I don't know how far they got today. I don't know if they opened Cox District and Cabot Road yet, but those two were closed earlier, but I know they've been working on them. Curtis Hollow, and McAwee, I think, had some issues too, but so I don't know if those are open yet.
Eric, you get a flow of people complaining, not complaining, but they're concerned about my driveways eroded or my roads eroded. Are you getting reports like that so people know?
We're not getting a lot of them right now. I think a lot of people are being understanding that we're
Right.
trying to fix the big thing first and
Right.
fix everything else. So far it's been very considerate of what we're trying to do.
And any of those reports of those non-emergency concerns can go to Eric.
Okay.
What else do you have?
Other things, so the fiscal year ended on June 30th. So I'll touch this up bit on my financial report. For that, the year ended, the last payroll was paid out for this past week for FY23. I'll just blend both in. There's approximately $43,000 left on my account left in the village budget for FY23. That's not including any outstanding invoices that may be out there as well. So that's kind of where we're at there. Annual reviews were done for all department heads or staff that fall underneath me. And then department heads did their annual reviews with their employees as well. So that was a successful venture, I hope. What else do I have? I have an update on the dog park bench. I pronounced that wrong, but so a plan zone administrator is hopefully have the ordinance completed by early next week up there, and then we kind of go from there.
Park?
The memorial,
The dog organization, the name's escaping me right now.
Yeah, I can't think.
Woodstock.
Woodstock?
Kennel Club?
Yes, it was yes. They had wanted to donate a bench in honor of I believe the founder. They came in front of the trustees, I believe, early January, where it was approved, but the trustees wanted the ordinance to be updated, and plan and zoning will get that as soon as possible. There was a question on 2 signs in Woodstock. The sign that was originally in green, and
Justin Morgan.
Justin Morgan.
Yep.
So Justin Morgan sign, there were taken down by the state. There were some inaccuracies in what was on the sign, and they found this different inaccuracies throughout the state. So they're going through a process of having scholars come together and correct the mistakes, and then they'll redo the signs and then redistribute them to communities. The sign that was originally green, as of 3 weeks ago, this will be dropping off a time. I haven't heard back, so I will check in with them. But they said that sign was all set to be dropped off again. The last thing I want to mention is Alex Ozzy is retiring, I believe on Monday. The goal was to have a retirement party for him this Thursday. That has obviously been pushed off due to DPW being busy with other things. So the goal is to invite him back when things quiet down and maybe have a barbecue up at the town garage or something. But he served for a number of years in the village. He'll be missed. I only talked to him a few times. Every time I did, he was very respectful, very knowledgeable. And it's going to be a big loss for us when he retires. But well deserved, and I think he's very excited for it. And that's it for my general report and kind of the financial report I threw in there as well. I don't know if there are any questions.
Still have one for Robbie. Has there been any resolution? You were going to look into how the discrepancy between what
But the park,
parking meter revenue versus
Yeah.
what was up every month, it was up,
Yeah.
and yet we're so far below.
That was on my list to get to this week, to be honest with you, and just something that fell through with everything that's going on. So that's still a outstanding question that we'll get an answer to for.
Okay. Fine.
Trustees, are there any other questions for Eric or about the finances? Okay, any citizen questions, comments? Oh. Okay, next item on the agenda is the police chief report. It's our last police chief report from Chief English. I mean, we tried to create a storm so that he would stick around, but he's leaving us
I've-
anyway.
you'd be happy I'm leaving because I got blamed for the first one. Now you won't have to worry about it.
No more storms once Robbie's gone.
That's right.
Bookends, chief, bookends.
Yeah, bookends,
Exactly.
right? Yes, thank you. Officer Tarleton is solo now. Officer Turco will be solo 7/20, hopefully. We're still cleaning up from the Irene 2.0. So but Thursday will be my last work day. So hopefully they'll have a lot of that work done. Thankfully, it wasn't as bad as some other spots in the state, so we can thank our lucky stars for that, I think. We just discussed water's been partially or is being in the process of being restored. We hope to have some bottled water for distribution in the near future. We're expecting a delivery, but it hasn't come yet. Again, Route 4 is open. Meters, for June, we had $14,134.55, compared to 2021, which was $9,600, and June 2022 was $12,224. So we again exceeded year over year the totals for the parking. They all still seem to be functioning well. On occasion, we have to change a battery, but by and large, they are working pretty good. I think, other than that, this week was kind of just made me forget everything else that we did up to this point, but I think we're in good shape right now. And our part-time officers have continued to step up to the plate to help us out, and hopefully that going forward, that'll continue. Thanks to Al Patterson, who came up at the end of June to help us out for a couple weeks. And so now Kirsten is back and she's back to work, and we're holding our own for the staffing.
What is your, I was talking to Eric earlier today about, are you aware of I know that there were some families displaced, some of them are being taken care of right now at a hotel. Is there anybody that you know outstanding that can't be in their home that still needs someplace?
No, not off the top of my head, but I will also add, the Red Cross has opened their shelter in Hartford at the high school. I meant to mention that to you. So thanks for bringing that up. That is the nearest shelter to us. That's the nearest Red Cross shelter. They have food and bedding there, so that is a legit stand-up shelter.
Okay, so if there's anybody who still needs
Correct.
shelter, they can go to the Hartford High School?
Yes.
Okay, and so is the EMS building right now is strictly people just need water, so that's not acting as a shelter anymore?
Yeah, that is more, I guess you might define it as a comfort station, so to speak, if
Okay.
they needed to stage there until we could, let's say, get them a ride over to Hartford, if they
Okay.
didn't have transportation.
Okay.
Right, so it's still available on an as-needed basis.
And there's no water there. It's at the fire station too.
Oh, no, I was talking about bottled water.
Yeah, we have a limited supply of bottled water right now, but like I said, we're expecting a delivery for more. And at that point, we'll make that announcement and coordinate that distribution when time.
And is,
Robbie-
but is the hose still available at the West Woodstock?
Yep.
Fire Department?
Yep, the West Woodstock Fire Department, which is just a little bit west of Prosper Road or the farmer's market. There's a hose there, bring your own container and you can fill it up.
And I will just say the chief's gonna turn that off tonight and turn it back on tomorrow morning.
Okay, so about what time do you think you'll turn that off?
I may be already turned off.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, but it'll be turned back on.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. And what other issues are sort of outstanding? How can people be, not how can people be helping, but what are the other issues that you're seeing that you anticipate that are happening now or that you anticipate happening?
Yeah, the traffic control was one of the bigger ones, particularly here on Route 4, because we had a lot of trailer trucks coming through. We had to turn them around. I actually noticed out there earlier today, there was an officer out there, Josh Linton, because we had trailer trucks going over Rose Hill. So they were avoiding, they were just taking the detour, but it's a tight road and a gravel and they're too big for that road. So that's why I put an officer out there to turn them around. I'd asked the state that if they had any billboards between here and the interstate to program them to say no trucks.
Yeah.
But really the only one they have is the one out here right now, which they program remotely, and it says Route 4 closed, local traffic only. But these truck drivers, the professionals that they are, just ignore the sign.
I mean, they go through the notch.
Yeah, so in any case, that helped a lot. He actually turned around a lot of trucks,
Okay.
once I got him out there and staged.
Okay, but now the trucks are allowed to go through.
Yep, so now it's open and they're going through.
Okay.
But yeah, other than the traffic issue, that was our biggest issue, really.
Excellent. Trustees, are there any other questions? And then I'll open it up in case anybody in the public has questions.
I am.
Okay, community members, do you have any questions or concerns for Robbie? Jill, it looks like your hand is up.
Yes. Robbie, could you repeat where the Red Cross shelter is, please?
Yep, it's at the Hartford High School.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Robbie or concerns?
I have a comment, but I'll let Jeffrey go.
Go ahead, Jill.
No, my only comment is we've already had lunches for you and no more of that, but except, for all of the trustees and you will be missed and we thank you for your service.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
And I'll just second that. I actually forgot you were trying a few times this week just because maybe I just didn't want to believe it. But I've sung Chief's praises a lot over the last 6 months. But I think his value was never shown more than yesterday when I got the phone call what was happening. And I came in and him and Chief Green just sat me down and really walked me through everything and they had total confidence in what they could do, what they were been able to do. And knowing that I had him and Chief Green really helped me yesterday and today. And that's knowledge that we're gonna miss. And also just an awareness and confidence and trust in everyone. So I just want to thank him for that. And what happens next, we'll move on, but we'll miss you.
Thank you very much.
And do not involve, and please do not invite Chief Green to come visit you in Tennessee.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna rip out his passports, I think.
Mountain City, Tennessee. North. I'll be back, once in a while. But that's fine.
That's exciting, but we are gonna miss you. You've really done our community well.
Well, he still has one more thing to talk about. Oh, don't let him go yet.
Oh, the overnight parking?
Yes, the overnight parking. Yes, so, Nikki sent that to everybody.
Yeah, it got out late. I apologize, but it's really so simple. As I looked at it, I'm like, it's, we could just add it to existing, ordinance number. And
Okay.
add the letter, and I think it can be fine. The other thing, the one thing that we will have to do is, it has to be signed. So we can add some signs down there, but wait a minute once it's approved.
Okay.
But unless you, any of you look at it, you have a different idea about how you wanted to craft it, but I just thought that would be.
I'll look at it. Does anybody have any questions? And do you have any questions or concerns about ordinance? Was it, the lawyer looked it over yet?
No.
So we just need signs that go up. Okay.
Great.
Well, we'll have, if you guys have any questions or concerns about it, but then the next step would be. just
Yep.
Trying by the lawyer, make sure that that's okay, that everything's good, but it looks fine for me. I think it accomplishes what we wanted to accomplish. Okay. Anything else for Robbie? No? Okay, well, let's move on to old business. Oh, no, that is the old business. So now we're gonna move on to new business. And in new business, we've added, Jill, who is, oh, there she is. So obviously, in the past, Woodstock has done a fantastic job of rallying together, community coming together to help each other. That obviously happened with Irene. A lot of those people reconstituted during COVID to create WARF, the Woodstock area
League one.
really fun, thank you. And then that has sort of turned into the hub, which helps people in a lot of different ways. And they are ready to go. Infrastructure is set up to help people in this crisis as well. So I'm going to let Jill talk about that a little bit and how it can be helping people, and then how people can donate as well to help out our community. So take it away, Jill.
Okay, so as Seaton said, we are now in our third community crisis and in 12 years, and we have we've built a system that is now permanent. So we're able to respond very, very quickly. We've called the organization the Hub. It's a project of the Woodstock Community Trust, so we can house it within that umbrella organization. It's a collaborative organization that works with the other giving partners in the community. So people like Faulkner Fund, Otakuchi Health Foundation, and in the surrounding towns like Barnard Helping Hands and Plymouth Memory Tree. So the idea is that somebody can come to the Hub, fill in an online application, a case advocate calls them within the day, maybe the next day, and talks to them about what their needs are. Mostly those needs are financial. Sometimes that's not always true though. And so we will have a consistent feed of information from Seaton so that we have the latest information about what's going on in Woodstock that we can feed to people. We will give people funds and work with our partners to make sure that emergency funds are available for people who've been affected by the flood. We will also work with FEMA should the individuals be able to access FEMA. Apparently that's not resolved yet, and we need to work with Kevin Geiger to find out when that's done. But we'll be quite good at helping people to complete the forms, which each individual will need to do themselves, and get them into that system. We're very aware that if people's homes have been flooded, then things like mold remediation need to be done immediately rather than waiting for funds from FEMA. So we'll be working out how we can make that help. So we have some funds right now because we are a permanent organization and we were anticipating some personal needs, but we want to go into overdrive now and do fundraising. So there'll be a listserv post tomorrow with all of the links for people to make an online donation, or they can mail a check in. So that information will be there. And also the application forms are there as well. And if anybody, the easiest way to tell you where to apply is to go to the woodstockcommunitytrust.org website, and all the information is there. What we ask for, and hopefully this will come through Seton, is any understanding of the size of the disaster to help us anticipate how many people may want help us to try and estimate how much money we might need, so that we can do the appropriate levels of fundraising and staffing. But if you come across anybody, we'll be in touch with Robbie and David and Eric to make sure they have all of that information. But if you come across anybody who needs emergency help, who has that crisis going on with their home, sometimes it's not their home, it might be their car that's been damaged so they can't get to work. We can help with that sort of thing. Basically get them to us so that we can work out where the help is for them. So that's true of all individuals and families who are residents of Woodstock, Barnard, Bridgewater, Plymouth, Reading, Pomfret, and Killington, the school area. Any
Thank you, Jill.
questions?
Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Is there an email that will be going out that we can send to somebody that might need assistance? Or,
Yes, I could make that email just with the listserv post that we did, Robbie. So who shall I send it to?
you can send it to me and I'll forward it on to a couple folks I have in mind.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question. I'm just curious, are there income guidelines attached to the hub?
No, we don't set income guidelines. It's based on need. So we ascertain what the needs are. Sometimes people, we're using the same system as we did in Wharf. So sometimes even people who would appear to have money actually have no cash. So they still have a need.
And there are also, and just add in, one of the things that the hub does is sort of like triage. So they can say, I need, I need to fill up my car with gas and I need to pay my whatever, my heating bill and something else. And they can say, oh, well, the state has a program to pay your heating bill. So they'll do that. But what we can do is, but no one else can provide you a gas card to fill up your car with gas.
Right.
So that's what we'll do. So they're able to not just hand over a check. And of course they write the check to the bill, they're not handing cash to people. They can also say, okay, you have 3 different needs. We'll pay this bill, but here are other resources. So they sort of do all of that so that people aren't applying to 5 different things. They just go straight to the hub.
So, and we often end up helping people. So even though they can go into a state program, there's a time lag. So what we often do is help for the first month and then make sure they've got into the program for the second month so that people are not desperate for 4 weeks when we've got money and can pay the bill. So we're there all year round, but we're there in a ramped up position now.
Do people need to pay the money back, Jill?
No, we might look at, if people become eligible for FEMA and we advance money, we might look at whether people can pay the money back from FEMA, but many expenses are not going to be covered by FEMA. Like, I'm not sure that temporary accommodation or gas is going to be covered. So the main thing is to get the bills paid and keep people out of this poverty trap that you can fall into so easily.
Any other questions for
I
Jill?
got a question. I missed the beginning. The wharf is a past history or has been merged into the hub? or-
Yes. So the hub is Wharf 2.0.
Got it.
So Wharf was a temporary organization that was set up, and the systems were very temporary and stretched to their limit. So
Right.
what we've done is to create a long-term organization backed up with proper systems, proper computer systems, very well-trained individuals, mainly volunteers still. And so yes, Wharf has become the hub.
Got it. That's what I thought. Thank you.
Anybody else have questions for Jill? Okay, so that's all gonna go out on the listserv. Any community questions? Okay, thank you, Jill. I appreciate that.
Hey, my pleasure.
Thanks, Jill.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda under new business is the rental request of a parking space located behind 29 Central Street. Is there someone here to speak on that? Okay, our options are to make a decision on it now based on the information that we have, which is a letter from the owner of footprints along with a photograph, or we can table it until next month when and hope that that person can attend. It's the pleasure of the board.
I prefer that, based on what's been presented, that we not allow that. Then the only reason is, I mean, it'd be lovely if we could do that for everybody, but then we'd be taking away too many public parking spaces. We allowed an exception for 1-to-1 because of the size of the goods they carry, and they put in those double doors. So if they sell a giant bed, they can get it out or deliver in one. That was the only reason that we allowed that. And that's the only reason why I'm hesitant to say yes, because then there'll be another request and another, and before you know it, there won't be any public parking along there. But I don't know if the other trustees agree with that. That's my thinking.
Trustees, would you like to make a decision based on what we have, or would you rather table it for a month until someone can come speak on it?
I should table it.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
So Jeffrey, in the back there, no other shop owner has a reserved spot?
No other shop owner, except the one exception we made.
And that is that for
At a
the personal
parking- at
use?
a parking
Or
meter.
is that just for,
For that,
Both.
it's for both, but it's mostly because it's behind the new home store, because they bring in things that
Right,
are sort of
okay.
double wide, and so they need to have that space open so that they can open both doors and get things in.
Okay.
So that was more of a loading situation than a personal parking spot. And there is an ability in Mechanic Street to rent out a parking spot if what you want is a parking spot year round. I don't know if there are any open right now, but there is that ability in other areas.
so Bill, you said you wanted to wait?
I mean, we should hear directly from people asking. I would think they should come in person, right?
Okay, Gabe, do you have an
Especially if
opinion
there's
on
a difference of
whether we table it or decide now?
Gabe, you're on mute.
Still on mute.
Still on mute, Gabe.
Still on mute, buddy.
Sorry, wasn't taking. I'd like to hear more.
Okay, well, it sounds like we'll table it until next month. So can you check in with Nikki, please, and
Yeah.
ask her to ask the owner? We've got more questions. Okay, next item on the agenda under new business is the IT contract proposal. Eric?
So in early May, I put together a request for IT services for the town and village. With that, we had 7 respondents outlined in the sheet in front of you. They're kind of outlined by price. So the top 2 were Soft Stages, which is a company out of Pennsylvania, and the town of Hanover, New Hampshire, which is a municipality, which is across the border. My recommendation is go with the town of Hanover. The select board approved that in the last meeting. And it's for a few reasons. One is A, the municipality, so they understand what a municipality needs. Two, the IT staff has been together for a very long time, and so they're aware of how to work within a municipality. Second, the location, they're about 30 minutes away. So they can get to us very quickly if need be. Third, they have come out already and done an assessment early on before they submitted a bid to see what we needed. Fourth, they have a program in place where eventually we can move to kind of a director of IT services with them as a shared service. So at a point in time when Woodstock really needs more long-term IT thinking, this could put us on the path for that. And the reason for this is the monthly cost of $2,000 a month, which is $24,000 a year. There are onboarding costs for the first year, but after that goes away. And what this allows us to do is kind of look at things as a more proactive way, and instead of being reactive, and say, okay, we're spending $2,000 a month anyways. What do we actually need to get done? What can we have get done? How can they provide us? How can they give us advice on things? So I really think it's a way to kind of put Woodstock a little bit forward, a little more into the present. I won't say future, but present than where we're at right now. So that's my recommendation. And full transparency, the town manager of Hanover and I do communicate frequently. We have met at conferences together. We call each other about once every 2 weeks to discuss issues between each other. So when we did the bids, I had Chief Green with me in the room. He opened bids with me. So we had someone that was completely neutral. So there'd be no impropriety on my end. He's not here, but he also agreed that Hanover was the best option for us as well.
And the manager there is happy with the way it's worked out in Hanover?
Yes, he's very happy with his IT department. And if I don't know if you know him at all. And he's happy to come here if you want as well. He's very tech savvy. So he runs his own podcast through Hanover, Hanover Happenings. If you want to listen to a podcast about municipal government, he carries, I think, an iPad, a laptop, and a cell phone with him constantly. So he has very high IT needs, and he's very satisfied with what he found in Hanover.
What are we paying per year on average right now for IT needs?
So what we have right now is we have a consultant that we call when we need work done. So it can fluctuate. In the past few years, it's been anywhere from 20,000 up to high 30s this year. And part of the switch now is there have been times when everyone has been hesitant to call, because when you call, you pay. So let me see if I can figure it out by myself for 20, 30 minutes. Let me see if I can call someone I know and help me figure it out, instead of just getting on the phone right away or an email and saying, hey, I need this fixed right away. So it's not only the cost of having a consultant, it's a sunk cost we have of waiting 45 minutes before we call the consultant, because we're trying to save ourselves some money.
But you see this based on history as being less expensive than our current not proactive.
Yeah, I won't say he's not, I won't say our consultant's not proactive, that we aren't proactive because we're always think about the money first. So we don't make the call. We don't say, hey, come in here for 5 hours and let's talk. It's come in here, get these 3 things done and move on. But yeah, I believe this will be
About the same or?
about the same, if not cheaper overall.
How many hours they typically spend a month, a week, or is there any kind of general ballpark?
So based on just simple math, it would probably be somewhere between 2 and 5 hours a week. But it'll fluctuate on our needs and what we want to use them for.
So it's like a retainer, Eric, where we just pay a set amount and we give X amount of hours as an allowance, or is it, we?
Yeah, so it's based on kind of conversation we had and what our RFP required and what they think we need. We're not, we have a very low staff, so it's not like we're going to need someone here every single day working with us.
Right.
And by giving the option to work remotely allows them to save money and time because they don't have to come in physically constantly.
Right.
So that's part of it as well.
Dave, do you have any questions? Concerns? Gabe, can you hear me?
It's on you.
Oh, you're muted.
Got it.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Yeah, no, so the question for me would be, what sort of work are they gonna be doing for us? Eric?
Yeah, I can share the proposal with the board. But it's basically anything from solving any technical issues, onboarding, security, malware, setting up new laptops, new employment stuff. On top of that, they're willing to also offer their expertise on website design and things as well. So maybe things that we'll have to do ourselves, but they can offer kind of that input as well from what they've seen and what they can do.
Do we have examples of the work they've done?
Yeah, and if the board wants, I can actually have them come. They're happy to come and present and talk to the trustees of what they've done in the past as well.
Okay, and then the next question is, will they be signing a confidentiality agreement? Obviously, they'll be accessing records that we, obviously that are, they should be private. There are definitely things that we don't want to have out there. So are they going to sign a confidentiality agreement?
Yeah, we'll have them do that.
Okay. Or a non-disclosure, whatever that may be.
Yeah.
Any other questions, trustees? Do you all feel comfortable voting?
So about them coming, the offer to have them come and talk to us.
Mhm.
That would be after we sign?
So the select board has already
Yeah,
signed
so
off on
the
it.
select board has voted to approve contract sign on August 1st. If the trustees want to hold off, what basically will happen in the sense of it'll be a little bit difficult, but basically until the trustees sign off on the police side of it, then Hanover won't really work on any of the police side of the budget, or so it won't really provide any IT services for the police and the time between August 1st until the trustees' next meeting, which could be a small gap if you're meeting on the second week of Tuesday.
Or we could have a special meeting.
Or we could have a special meeting. Yeah.
Okay. Do you all feel like you want to hear directly from the contractors before voting? We can hold a special meeting later. I would not want to hold up the contract
No, but if
for consistency, but we can certainly, I mean, it's the 11th. We've got 2 weeks left in the.
So my question is to Eric,
Yep.
what did they present to the select board, if anything?
so, they didn't present to select board at all. I spoke kind of like I did currently to you, to this board, and the select board approved the contract, or approved me to go in contract with them based on the conversation I had. My conversation with Hanover was I didn't want to have them come present if it wasn't necessary. But they're happy to do it. They offered to do it without being asked to, so.
I don't object to going forward.
Okay. Are you comfortable going forward? Okay,
And I will say the contract will probably have language where, we can get out of the contract within 60 days, if for some reason trustees aren't happy with what's going on. We can also have them come in August, maybe do a special meeting and kind of present on what their goals are for the year.
that would be great.
And then the trustees and select board can ask more questions, and, for some reason you feel uncomfortable after that meeting, we can, go from there.
Yeah, and I'm interested in, you said that they might be able to assist in website design, improving our website.
Yeah, it'll probably be more like advice than it will be actually doing it, but it's a whole thing, but yeah.
If it was anything to move things in that direction. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, and I think this is one of those steps of having something that's a little more proactive. We're not worried about, if someone asks me now to call a contract with the website, I'm gonna say that's gonna cost us X amount of dollars. That's not a priority for me right now. We're paying $2,000, you don't pick up the phone and saying, hey, what about this? What about that? And, go from there.
Gabe, are you comfortable in voting on it?
Me, I'm gonna abstain.
Okay, that's fine. Is there a motion to approve the contract with the town of Hanover?
So moved.
Okay, is there a second? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions?
That's me. That's
Okay,
me.
Gabe's abstaining. So 4 ayes, 1 abstention. Motion passes. So if you could have them come in August and talk to them a little bit more, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is sidewalk sale day discussion. So this is a discussion that I've had with Eric, I've had with Beth. So we obviously have 2 sidewalk sales per year. We had one in May, end of May. We have another one coming up in August. Both of those were approved by the trustees. In walking around the sidewalk sale last time around, I did notice that some of the businesses were taking up a tremendous amount of space on the sidewalk. I personally had concerns about ADA compliance. There certainly was not the 5 feet in a lot of spaces. Some of the merchandise that was out on the sidewalk was blocking parking spaces. So we want to make sure that we certainly continue with this tradition. I think it's good for Woodstock, good for the businesses. Community seems to enjoy it, but we also want to be very respectful of people with ADA needs, people who are walking their dogs, people with strollers, people with children, and people who are getting out of cars. So Beth and I have had a conversation about maybe different ways that we could do that. I wanted to make sure that the trustees could be a part of this conversation. Let us know, what you think of the sidewalk sale, how we can make it more inclusive, make sure that there's space on the sidewalk. So Beth, do you want to talk about sort of your conversations with the businesses and what they think and how they manage the sidewalk sales? You're muted. You're on mute still, Beth.
Hit the unmute button. There you go.
Can you unmute yourself, Beth?
No, she can't.
See if I can do it from the laptop.
So you can do it from there.
Oh, she forced me.
Maybe Nikki can unmute it.
Participants, there's a.
Right.
Unfortunately, no, all I can do is push ask to unmute, and I am doing that. I don't know if she's seeing anything.
Muted? There,
Oh, there we go. Okay. Yay, technology.
good
Okay,
lord,
Beth.
sorry.
Blame the
Um,
flooding. I'm sure that's the flooding's fault.
Must be.
Yeah.
Are there any merchants besides Jeffrey in attendance?
No.
Oh, great. Okay. So I did go around on Saturday and discuss this with a variety of merchants. And they felt very strongly that the sidewalk sale is important. I would like to ask that the board, the trustees, allow the merchants to use the parking space in front of their business so that people can walk through if you have a stroller, if you have if you're in a wheelchair. Similar, you folks allowed that during the pandemic when we had to space, be 6 feet apart. And so what we did is cone off certain spaces. People could use those spaces for the 2 days that the sidewalk sale is.
That's a proposal from Beth. I would add something about, we recently with the village butcher, he is doing his, he's grilling out on Thursdays, and I believe we asked him to pay for the parking space.
Yeah.
So I would say that for the sake of consistency and fairness, if they want to, if they want to put out enough merchandise that they need that extra space, that they would pay for the parking space for the day. That would be my one contingency.
I've got worries about safety with that, with this many parking spaces, with people and goods in them, and cars parking in front of them or trying to back up into the space ahead of them.
You mean if you have a shop and you're using the parking lot for goods, the person next to you is not, that parking lot could be open, and the person in front of them could have stuff out, so it could be.
I just,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's either all or none.
I don't think it's a good idea
Okay.
for safety reasons.
Robbie, what would the lookup be like if we had, would it just be cones?
If you wanted to reserve that space.
Yeah,
Yeah, you would definitely want to put at least cone, if not sawhorse better to
right.
block the space out, but I it's dangerous to have one if you're not gonna do them all, because if you have to do them all, then you'll probably not have to worry about anybody trying to parallel parking.
Yeah.
Between two vendors or merchants. That could be treacherous.
Yeah, I think it's a bad idea, especially like with trucks going through town and everything. If somebody was just out a little too far, I just would be a real hazard.
I think-
Well, we did do this for the pandemic. On at least 2 occasions. Safely. Because that was the only way that the sidewalk sale could happen. So we coned off, first thing in the morning. The 37 Central block, those 3 spaces would all be used. Between RT Home, Red Wagon, and 37 Central. So I don't think that you would have that issue of pulling in or backing up because they would be blocked off.
But then
Similarly,
Elevation and Woody's, so if Elevation and Woody's.
similarly with Woody's Elevation, Danforth, that those folks
Mhm.
would be out, Elevation is, puts a lot of things out. Woody's puts a lot of things out. And they feel very strongly about the need for a sidewalk sale. And if you ask them this week, even more of a need, since we're not getting visitors.
Well, I don't think we're talking about getting rid of sidewalks.
No, I don't think it's
No,
getting
yeah,
rid of
we're
it,
not.
but I think it is. We have to maintain sidewalk space and the ability to open and close doors and stuff. So it's how do we do it, but while maintaining the necessary space. And I
Right.
mean, that is something that we've done with Alex when he asked for the space. And then as we've talked to Coburn's, we've made sure that there is enough space for things to get passed. And so the sidewalk sale shouldn't be any different. We want to make sure that we are accessible to people. And I think the accessibility needs to come first. But I think that doesn't mean the sidewalk sale goes away. It needs to look a little different.
But one suggestion, Beth, would be, I don't see why there couldn't be sidewalk displays and large signage indicating sale items continue inside and gets people inside the store, whatever that store might be. In fact, they might end up buying something that they didn't see on the sidewalk. And that could, make the sidewalks a little more open and at the same time allow the sale to continue both inside and outside.
be possible to have somebody inspect each person's display before the beginning of the day
Yeah.
begins or something? Is that too much police?
Well, I wouldn't want to micromanage.
Yeah.
I think it's better for us to set out the guidelines and say, these are the expectations, just like we do right now with the expectation is,
Yeah, and the parking spaces, I think there's, two issues. I think there's the safety issue, which is for real. And secondly, we need the parking spaces, especially on busy weekends for customers who want to park their cars. So, I mean. there's
Well,
two-
you do have the option at the elementary school for that weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I mean, you know, and we can publicize that.
for overflow, yeah, that's great for overflow, Beth, but as you know.
Well, I mean,
people are
we're,
gonna-
we're
people are
talking
going to
about,
Park as close to where they want to be, they always do.
we're talking about 7 parking spaces.
Yeah,
well, but
On one street, what about the rest of the streets? What about, on Elm Street?
I'm saying that for Clover. I included Clover in that.
But I think Robbie and Jeffrey's point is a good one about you don't want to block off one parking spot and then have, so you've got
Right.
merchandise in one parking spot and then right next to it you don't, because the chance of a car knocking into the merchandise or people. So if you're gonna mark things off, you need to do a whole section.
Well,
So that it's safer. I am personally not
I-
opposed to the parking spot idea. I just want to do it in a safe manner.
and we can do that. We're talking about $6 a spot,
no,
I
it's
think
not the
that that's-
money.
quite doable. And we can, I mean, again, we made it work for the pandemic. The exact, what I'm proposing.
And how many, did you mark off all of the spaces? So if it
No.
was,
No, we didn't, but again, if that's
That was-
important, we can do
was
that.
because of
I'm
the
not saying,
reasons that had to do with the pandemic, that we did that. And getting the space requirements physically because of the virus. It's not the same situation now, and I think, or luckily, there were no accidents, but I think the potential is there. I think that everyone can have their sales without having to get into the street.
What if you took and like measured off, let's just say from Mountain Creamery down through. So there's nothing at Mountain Creamery, that's additional space that can be had. Then there's the new home store, then there's the old pharmacy. So why couldn't people just sort of like widen out their spaces by using up that extra spot that's there? And also like Woody's, they can continue down by the bank. Therefore, they don't need to go out, they can just go down. Does that make
well,
sense?
that's totally up to the bank.
well, it's not because the bank doesn't own the sidewalk.
But, well,
Well,
They're not gonna be open, but I'm saying the front side or not,
I
not
know,
the
I know
front,
what you're talking about, Brenda.
yeah.
So so going this way instead of going this.
if the
Right.
store in front of where another business is putting their goods doesn't object, sure, but they might.
Well, I don't think where I'm talking about, there's like some blanks there.
The Mountain Creamery would be the only one that's blank.
One half of the pharmacy.
Yeah.
And then by Woody's,
Half the
the,
pharmacy, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if those landlords or something didn't object, I think that that's a possibility.
Friendly neighbors.
and the same thing on the other side of the street and
Right.
on Elm.
Right.
And so maybe that's an individual business decision about, do you want your footprint to be just in front with the restrictions of how wide, how much sidewalk space needs to be available? And if you want more space, then you need to go wide. You need to talk to your neighbors about that.
That could be a solution. Think of it.
So is it the restriction that obviously we continue with the sidewalk sale, but merchandise has to be up against the wall? So tables, whatever the things have to be up against the wall, similar to how we have like flower pots have to be up against the wall, those sorts of things. And there needs to be a certain distance between, like we've said with Coburn's, there needs to be a certain distance between where the Coburn's tables are and the sidewalk, the end of the sidewalk.
No matter what, it has to be enough room for people to pass through.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what that
wheelchair.
distance is?
How wide is a wheelchair?
Well, the ADA distance is 5 feet.
Well, we don't have 5 feet, period.
We have the ability to work around that a little bit. We've obviously done that with Coburn's. I want to talk to David, get his opinion as our health person that measures such things.
How about the width of a wheelchair? Just so that someone can get through without being blocked.
So 3 feet.
You also may have people with a walker,
Or walker.
crutches.
Yeah, so probably
36,
maybe
that's-
36 inches.
That's 36 inches.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that allows people to walk by, that allows
Yeah,
car
keep-
doors to open.
And allows room for displays.
I just add who's gonna do the enforcement?
No. No, I'm gonna be inside.
No, no, I'm saying it's a Saturday, it's sidewalk sale and a vendor has his stuff out further on the sidewalk or there's not 3
Okay.
feet or whatever else.
I think the
Oh, what-
police department should do the enforcement.
And then do you want a fine? Do you want just?
I don't know that I think we go back to sort of like what we
I
did.
don't think fine is necessary.
I don't think
that it's just to be told.
I think it is a reminder of what the decision that has been made and knowing that this is how, and we'll test this out. If it sucks and we need to do sidewalk sales a different way, that's fine. But I think that this is a goodwill on the part of all of the community members. And if there is not goodwill by everyone to cooperate, then we will take that into consideration for the next sidewalk sale.
Right.
We're doing this for the benefit of businesses, the community, the visitors, everybody. And so everybody's got to compromise a little bit and we'll go from there. I think we can all look out for each other's best interests and play nicely without having fines or anything. What do you think, Beth?
Okay. I mean, I'll go back through and speak with everyone, but I think compromise is what we need and
Is there an ordinance that speaks to this? You're gonna ask the police department to
So,
police it. Is there such an ordinance?
I mean,
Or is it just going to be willful compliance?
Well, yeah, I think so, because we've actually used the police department. I remember one incident in the past, Robbie, when someone was reminded that the sidewalk sale was over and they were still out there on the public sidewalk. And
I think there is an ordinance that speaks to.
because there was no permit,
But when you're having the sale, everybody's got. I'm just wondering,
Yeah.
I can't really think of anything that speaks directly to.
I mean, if we make it like any other permit that we grant, and I think we need to vote to amend the permit, because this is a sidewalk permit that we are granting. Then when you vote to amend the permit, then it is enforcing what the permit
Sure.
says. Does that?
Yep.
That's enforceable.
And I Googled the ADA. width.
Yes.
It's
It's 3 feet?
36 inches.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, I only did that only because if we police it and they're get out their measuring stick.
Yeah.
Want to make sure that we're on the right side.
Okay.
It's-
Okay. That's
right.
it. So 36 inches, 3 feet.
Can I just ask, Chief,
Okay.
you won't be here obviously, but you okay with officers doing that? Is that,
Yeah, I mean, the duty officer, if
we receive a complaint, he'll take care of it like anything else. And I think as long as, the staff, their brief done, what the game rules are for this event, I don't think there'll be.
And maybe, I mean, and on top of that, I think we're not looking to get anybody in trouble. We're not looking to have this be an issue, but communication out from us, communication from the chamber, a reminder from us that, now that this decision has been made, it can go on the listserv, or if we need to send a letter to all the businesses that says, hey, this is the update on the permit. If you have any questions about it, come talk to us. And because this is certainly not end of discussion, but this is a decision we've made tonight. It's a lot of communication and education ahead of time so that it's not the day of and people going, nobody told me, or why is this? Or, let's have those conversations.
If you want to amend the permit to say
Yes.
36 inches must be allowed, go ahead.
Yes, so I would make a motion to amend the permit for the sidewalk sale. What's the date, Beth?
The 16th, 19th, let me look.
Hold on.
August 18th and 19th.
18. Okay, so I'd make a motion to amend the sidewalk permit for the sidewalk sale, August 18th and 19th, that all merchandise must be, all merchandise put out by businesses must allow for 36 inches in merchandise and the sidewalk. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, Jeffrey seconds. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Dave's, you're opposed? Okay. Motion carries, 4-1. Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda is, Eric's vacation, which you may or may not take. So we need to vote to allow him, to take vacation because his contract stipulates that he cannot take vacation until 6 months in.
So it's the personnel policy.
Personnel policy, excuse me, personnel policy. And he has asked for vacation about 2 weeks earlier than the
Yeah, so before the last 4 days, I was going to go on vacation starting this Friday, which would have been about 2 weeks before my 6-month anniversary, which would have been against the personnel policy. So I was going to ask the board for approval to take vacation time 2 weeks earlier than personnel policy allows. At this point, I don't think I'll be taking full vacation, but I may want to take a day or two off if the storm allows me to. So I would just ask the board would approve that. That's okay.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, then make a motion to allow Eric, our municipal manager, to go on vacation 2 weeks earlier than the personnel policy states. Is there a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries.
Then I in your trunk. I'll go with you.
Congratulations, you are allowed to take vacation, you may or may not, but you have our permission.
Thank you.
Is there any other business to come before the board before we go into executive session? Okay, in that case, we are going to move into executive session. I would make a motion to move into executive session to discuss personnel issues. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. We are moving into executive session. Nikki, can you please put us in a separate room?
Good night, Robbie.
Robbie, thank you so much.
Well, look, let's see.
Talk to you tomorrow.
He's got the door.
Gabe, can you unmute yourself? Please. Okay, the next item on the agenda is to approve the minutes from June 13th. Jeffrey?
I'm getting depressed about the minutes.
Oh, no.
I can't find any errors. It just,
Nikki, well done.
Nikki, oh my gosh. I'm so proud of you, and yet I wish I had found something.
Well, thank you. I am sorry to not to disappoint. But thank
Try to catch me some point.
you. Put
Awesome.
something funny in there.
Or something in there intentionally.
A seek and find or something.
Well done, Nikki.
Thank you.
I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes from June 13th. Is
So moved.
there a second?
Second,
All in favor of approving the minutes from June 13th, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. I will now accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second,
All in favor, say aye. Any
aye.
opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned for the evening. Thank you, everyone.
You. Oh.
Thank you.
I did.